everyone. My name is Sharon, and this is Jacqueline.
Yes.
And that's Katala.
Hello.
And those are my sisters, and we fellowship together. So welcome to Overcome Today. Normally after services a lot, we would be sitting around having our meals, and we just be conversating, and we talk a lot. We talk a lot. So we're now going to be sharing our conversations with you all. And, we're glad that you can join us. Hope you like what you hear and maybe can learn something from what we're talking about. And we're just going to get started. Today our topic is going to be the challenges with raising teenage girls. I have a 13-year-old, and my baby's about to be 14 next month. I want to say I'm excited, but I really don't know how to feel. She's a little woman. I know. Jackie, how old is your daughter?
She's 18.
Wow, she's a big woman.
Yeah, she's a big one.
And how old is yours, Katala?
I have a 15-year-old.
Wow. So there's a lot of experience on this table. A lot of things we can talk about here. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with Jackie, being that she has the oldest. What do you got to say?
So like I said, my daughter's 18, and the beginning challenges are dealing with the change of their character. They're used to you telling them what to do and the rules set, but then there comes a time when my daughter was, after she graduated, she began to express her feelings more, share what she likes and what she don't like, and her opinions. And it's not always easy because you've always had the say of what's going on and never had to hear any back talk.
Right.
So it's it's a challenge dealing with that. And so the challenge is giving them their space to speak. Both parties have to listen though, and that could become challenging because at 18 she's a little woman.
Yeah.
And she feels she needs her independence. And mommy's like, well, you're still at home. Right. So there's rules that you still got to follow. Mm-hmm. So that's where the battle begins, you know. And so each time you talk and each experience that you will have, and you will have a lot of them, it's a learning experience, and it's a learning experience for the parent as well, because we have to learn how to be able to hear more and listen more and be able to sit down and explain the whys and the why nots. Right. And they don't always want to hear that, but it has to be done in a mature way where they can really understand and not just, walk and talk in their emotions, because there's a lot of emotions being thrown around. Mm-hmm. And that's the challenge right now at 18.
Wow. I have, I guess, a similar challenge because she's 15, so she's close to 18, but thankfully we're not there yet. But I agree, they're growing up and they're starting to they're learning who they are, and they're trying to fit in. Because one challenge that we have, the biggest challenge that we have, I think, is we're raising godly women or godly girls to become godly women. And so that's a huge challenge when you have a society that doesn't focus on the things of God. It does not focus on the things that are virtuous, the things that are, good. And so trying to show her how to be separate from the things of this world and, is a huge challenge, especially when they have to go out day to day and interact, whether it's school or work or wherever they have to be. They're in this world, and so we have to show them how to be separate, how to, be godly women now. So for me, I think the challenge in that is not just, her trying to determine who she is, but also the friends that she chooses, the things that she wants to maybe listen to, places where she may want to go, just her overall, demeanor. We have to help them because, like you said earlier, they're emotional now. So we have to help them with their emotions. So I think there are quite a few challenges that are out there. We have a very, I would say, society focuses a lot on sex. And that's something that we have to combat, with our girls. They teach our girls that, you know, beauty is outwardly,
right.
You know, so that's another challenge that we have to focus on. We have to help them with just trying to decide who they want to be in life.
Right.
You know, there are basic things that we have to help them with. So there are quite a few things that we go through right now.
Yes, and I agree. I believe that the biggest challenge is who we're raising. They're godly girls, you know, and we expect so much more out of them, and they actually see the difference, you know, when they do go out into the world, because they hear what we taught them. And it's kind of hard. Even us as adults, we get pushed around if we let other people push us around, you know. So you can imagine what the poor kids go through at school, you know. Like when we're around them, of course we help them, and we can say things. We're more bolder because we have to be that example. But when they're by themselves, they feel alone. They're like, okay, well, I know that's not right, but how am I supposed to speak up against all these other females? They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy, you know. So yeah, there are definitely a lot of challenges that go along with these young little girls. But
Absolutely.
And I wanted to add, my daughter, at her age, you know, society looks at an 18-year-old as an adult.
Oh yeah.
They look at they
just
you know,
let it go.
They look at them as they're at an age where they can make their own decisions. You know, they have the right to their actions on their own without the parents, you know, saying anything. And I totally disagree with that. You're taking a child that's been under your protection all this time, and America says, okay, 18, you're free, do whatever you want. They are so far not ready for that. But you have parents that tell you, no, let them live their life. We lived our life. Let them make their mistakes. And I totally disagree with that, because my daughter,
the peer pressure,
right?
That
that's
we
the
have
peer
to go through,
right,
as
and
adults.
that she deals with, because my daughter is where she is because of me. You know, she didn't have any children. You know, she doesn't deal with half the stuff that 18-year-olds are dealing with going in school, and it's because of what I disagree with America. At the end of the day, she's still under my protection, you know. And so I see what's going on. I was there. I see what goes on out there. And so parents have to understand that because they turn 18, it means nothing. You still have to teach them what it means to love them, to love who they are, you know, because that peer pressure comes to, you know, trying to look a certain way. My daughter is really into makeup, you know, she's at an age I let her wear makeup.
And she's so beautiful.
And she's beautiful already without it. And so you know, there's the constant teaching that, you know, the makeup is not always needed. It's a nice enhancement, but don't get caught up to the point where you feel you look ugly because when you don't wear it. And that's what's going on, you know, at this age, you know. They want to dress a certain way, and, you know, you are kept female. You know, you would like to be married eventually, so you got to carry yourself a certain way. You know, everything should not be out there for them to see. Especially, you know, that should be for your husband. And so the whole concept of let them be free and go where they want to go, wear what they want to wear. You know, parents really have to get away from that, but understand that you're going to get some flack from the girls because we're in a world that, you know, they're being pressured. You know, so you really have to be able to talk with them when it comes to all of these issues that they're dealing with. You know,
and that's where we come in. I know Katala had mentioned before, we have to be the adults. We have to find, we have to fellowship, you know, with other believers, other like-minded children, you know, just be that seeker out of, you know, good company that they can actually do life with. You know, we can't just entrust our kids with just anybody. You know,
or to make the right decision.
You know, and I rather that safety, knowing that, okay, her friend is a believer. She knows right from wrong. I know her parents. I know where they stand. Like, I know Jackie, that's my sister-in-law, I know her. I know Katala always say, yeah, she can go with Katala, because if anything, Katala is just going to overreact.
Right. I will, yes.
So she's safe there,
Exactly.
you know? And that's how
I do.
I'm thinking with my children, all of them, when they go places,
Right.
you know, it's
That's
like, okay, yeah, I know the parents, I know how they are, so
Right.
that's what we got to do.
I agree.
Yeah.
And like Jackie was saying, you know, they this society that we live in, you know, it pushes all of these things on them. It pushes, you know, girls should wear makeup, and
Yeah.
they should dress provocatively. They should talk and say anything,
Right.
you know, not be concerned about their speech.
Right.
You know, you hear girls cursing,
Oh, my
and,
goodness.
you know, loud and just, you know, rambunctious and stuff, and you're looking at them like you're a young lady.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the challenges that we have, is trying to show them the right way, and then enforcing it, but also having them or being confident in knowing that they will do it even when they're not in our presence.
Right.
You know, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges I have, or concerns I have.
Right.
You know, is that we teach our girls and we pray over them, but we encourage them to do right. But we also have to be confident and hopefully trust them
Right,
that they're
right.
going to make the right choices,
Right.
even when they're not in our presence.
Yeah, it's
You
all
know?
about teaching them to be the leader.
Right.
They should always, and I tell my daughter, she should always be the one that lead the group,
Right.
regardless if, you know, she feels that, you know, well, I'm not one they should be looking up to, but, you know, I teach her to understand that that's how it's set up. Girls look up to girls. Children look up to children, whether you want them to or not. So you have to carry yourself a certain way, because you are the oldest one.
Right.
You know, they're gonna watch what you do. They're gonna watch what you say, and it's a habit. They pick up. And so even when you go into the workforce, you know, now she's at an age she's making her own little money. You know, the behaviors that I'm teaching her, the workforce does not accept it either.
Right.
You know, you can't go in there using profanity and just carry
Right,
on.
right.
You know, so you teach them that, look, this is not just the mommy rule. This is a rule that you're going to have to carry on with
Exactly.
you wherever you go, whether in college, whether in school. So it's something that parents must teach their children, because again, when you at that working stage, you know, there's a whole new way to carry yourself in the workforce, and they'll tell you what you do outside or what you do in your home, you keep it there, but in the workforce, this is how you should carry yourself. And so I'm teaching my daughter, you should carry yourself like this all the time. You know, you shouldn't have what they call that ratchet attitude and that filthy mouth. It's not even becoming. You
Right.
know,
Right.
you can be the most beautiful looking female, but when you open your mouth and say the things you say in a negative tone, it's really not nice at all. It's
Turn
not
off.
even
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And so your speech is part of your beauty. And so that's what I teach her.
part of your character.
It is part of your character. It's part of who you are. And so it's just as important to fix your mouth just like you fix your hair and your face. You know?
Exactly. I agree wholeheartedly.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be, whenever you're out somewhere, you always want to carry yourself. And one thing I ask my daughter often, and she'll tell you, I'm like, who do you represent? She'll look at me like, mommy. Yeah.
Right.
You represent your parents.
Right.
You know, you represent your pastor. You represent, you know, the fellowship. You know, I said, and so if you know we are godly people, then that means you have to have certain behaviors as well.
Right.
We're raising you this way. And it's not to be mean or to hold you back.
Right.
It's actually for your good.
Right, for
you
your
know,
good.
it's a
Yeah.
good thing for
Right.
you to be loving and to be kind. You know, scripture says to be humble and
Right.
gentle and meek.
Yes.
You know, and those are the things that we're teaching you. So when you're loud and you're talking and, you know, and you say anything or, you know, you use profanity, then those things are not becoming, you
Right.
know, of a godly woman or someone who should be raised in a godly home.
Right.
So you have to be mindful of these things, you know, and it's a process. We have to continually reinforce it, because no, they're not going to get it the first time.
Right.
But we have to be
Or the second
consistent.
and third.
Exactly. Or the second and third. There goes our patience.
our
We
patience,
have to be
right.
patient as well.
Long-suffering.
And long suffering
Right.
with our girls. Be long suffering if
Right.
nothing else. I
Yeah.
agree. But we also are the example.
Right.
You know, I can't say we need to be. We just are the example.
Yes, and I notice kids, they tend to think that we just want to destroy enjoy their fun. Like,
Right.
we don't want them to have fun,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So and you know what? It's not even just the children. People that come to God and the outside world looking in, they be like, you try to share Yeshua, Jesus Christ with them, you know, the good news, the
Right.
gospel.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I'm not ready for that. Because
Right.
they think that they're going to be so bored,
Right.
they can't do anything.
Exactly.
You know? And so I think that the children and even some believers believe that. They
Yes.
believe what the world is telling them. And that's why
Right.
they try to act so much like the world.
Yeah.
Because they think that's where the fun is. No, find your own fun.
Exactly.
Find your fun, your good, clean fun. You know, it exists. So what are some fun things we do, you know? Because people think that we don't have fun. We shop. We go on vacations to nice places.
Yes.
We go to the beach, but we don't wear no bathing suits and bikinis and exploit our bodies. But we still go out. We have fun. We go to the beach. You know, I'm enjoying my life.
Yeah,
I think have a husband.
Right. I think what is important is that you still could do life.
Yeah.
Before answering your question, one of the things I was thinking about is how when you talk about people say they don't, you know, Christians or believers don't know how to have fun.
Yeah.
The problem is parents don't take the initiative. They're not proactive
Right.
to look for other alternative. And I really don't like using that word alternative because, like you said, we go to the beach, we go shopping,
Right.
you know, we do those
We're
things.
humans.
So we're human. So it's not, life doesn't stop because you say, you know, I've repented.
Right.
But your behavior, you know, your character, the way you
change.
carry yourself,
Right.
that's going to change.
Exactly.
And there are certain places that you will not go. Like
Right.
I do not allow my
Exactly.
daughter, you know, to go to the big party events, you know, that they may be sponsoring because, you know, and in itself, it may, one time, and I'll share this experience real quick, there was a event she went to, it's like a parade thing, and they had alternative, what they call alternative Christian singers there. But I didn't like what she brought home, you know,
Oh, I remember
from
you
the
sharing that,
package,
the flyer, or
and
something.
you know, and she looked at it and she was just like, well, they're Christians, and I'm like, I understand that, and it has nothing to do with that, but I also have my preference. You know, there's just certain things that just doesn't look fitting, you
Right.
know, and they have to understand that everything you do is not a sin, but everything is not needful.
Right.
Everything
It's
does
not
not,
beneficial.
it's not beneficial.
Right.
And so even if you are, you know, so it was just the certain particles and things that she had that I did not agree with, you know, but even in that's a teaching because you're sending your children, if you're sending your children to these events, you got to understand, I don't care how much they say, you know, this is all about gospel.
That's
There's
what I
going to
was
be all
gonna say.
types of people there. And if your child is not ready for that, you know, people forget Satan, you know, he goes to church
He
too.
seeks
You know,
whom he
he
may
knows
devour.
where to find these, you know, children. So you, the parent, have to make the right decisions. So yes, there are certain places that she is forbidden to go, you know, but overall, life does not stop, you know, because you're a believer, and it is up to the parents to make that happen for the children. You know, you have to put them in an environment, you know, where they can enjoy.
And
Tell
I
my
have
daughter,
a kid.
bring her friends to the house, you know. You can have the same sleepover, you know, you can do things, but you just got to be, you got to walk in your character.
Yeah.
Don't lose your salvation to have fun. And that's really the message. Don't lose your salvation
Right.
to have
Right.
fun.
Because I don't care what anybody say. Everybody that call themselves Christ-like is not Christ-like.
Right.
You know, and they say they're raising godly women. All right, let me see your fruit, because
Right.
I need to see what kind of godly, what is godly about that child, you know. And be honest, you see some weird stuff out there.
Well, you know, to your point about what you do to have fun, and I think you have to be intentional. Back to what we were saying earlier, you know, friends, godly relationships, trying to establish godly relationships. So as parents, we have to be the ones to go out initially and say, okay, well, this is someone that, you know, you are able to hang out with, because we trust them, because we've been able to fellowship with them. We understand, you know, they have the same morals, etc. And then you can allow them to go different places. I know we've done skating, you know, we have to look for opportunities. There are places where you can go. I know one night out the week they play Christian music. Right. Well, okay, well that's a good opportunity for us to go. Yeah. We just have to be more intentional about it, because we have to do more research, you know, and be more careful, because on the flip side, we decided we would go bowling one night, and we get there and they have all these screens up with this crazy music and just listening to, you know, the music and the videos that they were playing at the time. And so we realized, okay, that was our fault. Yeah. You know, we didn't do our research. Our mistake in our error. Exactly. Yeah. And they heard us say we will not do it again. And we left.
And we found a better place.
Exactly. We did. So I mean,
that's just the challenges.
And that's what we have to do. Right. So there are going to be challenges. We live in this world. Right. You know, we can't escape that. Right. But at the same time, I think that we have to be diligent, and we have to be proactive, and we just have to continue to do our research, and you know, making sure that that we're not, you know, subjecting them to something that's not beneficial to them. And then also that we don't look like hypocrites, because, you know, we say you can't do this, but then we turn around and do it. So, you know, we just have to make sure that we're really walking the walk.
And at the end of the day, when you really listen to them, and when you hear people make those comments that there's nothing to do, the typical thing that girls do is what? They get their nails done. Yeah. They get their feet done. Yep. They like to go shopping. They like to eat, and they like to go to the movies. You know, we've got all that covered. Right. You know, they're not doing anything. You know, being in the world is nothing else. Is nothing extravagant. You know, that's what they're doing. And so take that and work with it. You know, because the girls will make you think that, oh, they're missing out, or their life is this, but you know, these girls they stay, as this word that I, you know, use that my daughter don't like, they stay beat. They face stay beat. Yeah. Their outfit stay beat. You know, so that means nice. Cause I was going to say,
I don't know what it is. I'm looking like, I'm probably like your daughter, like.
Let me clarify that. What is beat? Beat means your face is nice. You know, and I'm not probably saying it all correct, but you hear, I'm a teenage mother. I hear
we gotta stay up.
We gotta stay up with these terminologies. But you know, once you start using the terminologies, your children look at you like, all right, Mom.
Yes, they want you to stop.
Please stop.
Stop it. Please don't ever say that again.
Yes, I hear that often.
But yeah, they're, you know, so a lot of things that they think they're missing out, they're not doing anything different, you know, and so enjoy the life.
Right, and we cannot, you know, be discouraged by that.
No,
you know,
not at all.
That can't deter us from doing what we need to do. Right. I understand, and we have to be sensitive. We have to communicate with them, and I understand that they have needs, and they just want to have fun. Right. You know, I get that. Right. You know, but at the same time, we have to continue to set boundaries. We have to give them guidelines. They need structure. Yeah. Right. You know, and it's our job. It's our duty. It's our requirement. God holds us accountable for that. And then also society holds us accountable to raise, you know, a good person, you know, so that they can go out and be productive in society. Right. And so, you know, I think that that's something that we have to just be mindful of, and not be afraid of, you know, to hear them say, oh my gosh, really? Or you always don't let me do this, or, you know, I don't ever go nowhere, you know, okay, you're not gonna die, you know, it's not gonna kill you, you know, you need to hear no sometimes.
Yeah.
One of the issues with dealing with an 18-year-old, and I'm pretty sure, not yet, because you know your girls don't really go out like that to that point. But Dominique, you know, she knows how to drive, and she has friends that drive. So I have a curfew for my daughter. You know, not all of her group of girls that she hang out with have curfews, but some are later. You know, and so that was one of my major issues with my daughter, was curfew, and I gave her curfew. She followed it for a couple of times, and then she didn't. So I took it back, and she didn't understand that. And I had explained to her, you know, these are trusts. You have to earn this, you know. what your friend does in her house and what her mother allows, that's their house.
Right.
You know, but there are things you have to earn this trust, and if you can't follow these rules, there's going to be accountability and consequences. And so there should be no need of an argument when you break that rule. And so a lot of parents will be like, well, let them have their freedom. No, you know, she's a female. There's a certain time I'm like, she don't even need to be. There is no need to be out at that time. I don't care what anyone says.
Yes.
You know, a lot happens during, yes, things can happen during the day, but there's just certain times a young female should not be out there. And that's just my rule and my preference, you know. And when your daughter understands what your rule is and when your preference and they follow it, there will be less strife. But when they knock it, you will always get issues. And that's the constant fight, you know, until they understand that if you just follow these rules, you know, you will pretty much start earning, you know, some more privileges. But if you can't follow the little that you have, how can you be trusted to do more? You know,
to your point, that's when you said earlier, we give them the whys.
Yes.
Why?
Right.
Is there a curfew? Because if you're out late at night, you know, you could be out and something could happen to the car you're driving in. What if you get a flat tire, you're on the side of the highway? You know, then you're subjecting yourself to be someone to rob you, someone to hurt you physically, you know, rape, you know, why is there a reason for you? You know, because there's nothing good. My parents used to say there's nothing good out there, you know, this time of night. You know, ain't nobody doing no good this time of night, you know, and so you have to be wise, but you explain these things to them, you know, if for no other reason, for your physical safety, you need to be here because in your home, at least I know that you're protected here, you know, and I don't have to be concerned about getting a phone call, you know, in the middle of the night saying that my child is in a hospital or my child is missing, you know, especially with the sex ring that's around here, you know, especially in Charlotte, it's big. So, you know, we want to protect our girls, you know, from people who see them and they don't look at them like they should. They see them as a sexual object. You know, they see them as money, you know, and so we have to really be, you know, proactive, but we also have to be stern in our stance, and we have to state that, and we have to let them know there's a world out there that will just eat you alive. You know, you don't understand this, but it will.
They don't understand the dangers of the world.
No.
They really believe that they're invincible.
They don't. They don't. We did.
We did.
We did. I mean, you know, we did.
And that's what I was going to say. I know what I used to do. And I used to like to go out at night. That was when I got ready to go out and hang out, you know. So there's nothing good out there at night. I know where I came from. And, you know, I know y'all grew up maybe slightly a little different, especially you, preacher's daughter. But and you too, you didn't start until you went to college, really. Yeah. But I know what's out there. I know y'all know what's out there, and that's why we try to tell them what's out there to keep them. It's for their own safety, you know. And if they would just only listen, they'll live longer. You know, that's what the scripture says.
Right. That's the first promise.
Yeah, the first promise.
Yeah, long life.
Be obedient to honor your mother and father.
Right. Your days may be long
upon the earth. Right. That's a promise.
That is.
Because you can go out there and just because you're being disobedient, not honoring your parents, get in a car accident or something. You know, and you're gone now.
Yeah, you could be gone
before time,
paralyzed,
or hurt.
Yeah,
and you have a beautiful future. You could have a singing career, evangelist career. You know, you can be somebody's wife of a pastor, a true pastor, you know, but now you're messed up and you done messed things up for yourself.
You said something important. I am a preacher's daughter, and I actually started going out at my daughter's age when I left home. Because I knew what the rules was, but when I left home, you know, to me, I was hitting the streets hard. It wasn't hard when you really hear my story, but it's just like, for me it was, you know, the drinking. I started smoking. The street is hard. And I realized that I shouldn't be here. You know, I was having sex, you know, and so I've shared that with my daughter. the thing that she will throw back as well, you know, I'm not like you, I'm not there, I kept myself, you know. So they look at that as they've made an achievement. What they don't understand is that we kept them from all of that.
Right.
This is why we don't want you. Not to say that, you know, you're just going to go out there and do it, but understand that the reason you haven't done it because of these rules and protections we have given you. And so yes, we've messed up, and so we're doing this for your benefit. And we didn't have right. That wasn't our intention. And you know, a lot of times I'll talk to her. She may say, "Well, you always think I'm going to do something." No, it wasn't our intentions to go out there. We really wanted to go out there just to have fun, just to go to the party, you know, but people there have intentions.
Exactly. That's what I say. That's where the devil comes in.
And you're not ready for those type of people, you know. And that's what they need to understand. You are not ready for that, you know.
Yep.
And
I
I think
even know what to do.
To that point, though, you know, for me, is I want to raise you, though, so that you don't even have those intentions,
those thoughts,
those desires.
Exactly.
You know, because those desires are not of God.
Right.
You know, they're of unrighteousness and wickedness and stuff.
Right.
And so, you know, I don't even desire for you to have those desires.
Because you should look at me now.
Exactly.
And this is the role model you should see. Right.
And you should see us, and she's around you or you and, you know, our daughters and stuff, and they should be able to hold each other accountable, you know, as well. But I think that the world is what gives them those desires, and so that's that challenge where we're combating against
we're sending
things
them
of the
out
world.
there.
Exactly. So they see these things, and to them it's innocent because they don't know anything different.
Right.
You know, they've never been hurt. You know, and so they see them as, okay, I can do this and it'll be okay. And we're telling them, no, it's not going to be okay, because when it's said and done, mommy, daddy may not be around to see you, but God still does. You know, and you're of age now. You're accountable for your actions. And so we have to be, you know, continue to remind them of that as well. That's part of their spiritual walk.
And I want to say, because I don't want to sound like, you know, she doesn't do anything. Right?
No.
But it's like, one thing I could say is that, you know, her, you know, when you talk to her about, you know, the sexual part of what teenagers go through and what she sees her friends go through, or when I say friends, kids that she's been to school with, you know, she'll tell you, that is not what I want. You know, my daughter's really into herself a little bit too much sometimes, but right now I'm happy with that, you know. But it's like, you know, your teachings are still there. Yeah, my issue with my daughter a lot more so is with her mouth, you know, but you still see there's things that are still there that they've learned from you, you know. And so we have to keep that, you know, we have to let them know that there are things that they are doing correctly. Because sometimes in this setting, they're always hearing, you know, what they're not doing.
You know,
what they're not doing. And I try to balance that, because I could get a little overbearing with what you're not doing and not showing her what she is doing, because that would play with their emotions. You know, and so there's got to be a balance.
Into our practical things, you know, our practical experiences about, you know, what we could share with our audience that brought us this far with these teenagers. And that's a good point, you know. Well,
that's one of the practical steps that I've learned over her teenage years to do is, you know, balance, you know, as the Bible said, give praise when praise is due. You know, and
adults need it.
And so I praise her when she's doing well. You know, my daughter, you know, she has a great head on her when it comes to going after what she wants. Like, you know, she finished high school now. She's going into medical assistant. So I try to let her, because girls sometimes do have an issue, and it's a growing issue with self-esteem. And that's why I think it's important that we balance out, you know, the conversations that we have. Let them know what they're good at, you know. And so one of the things I teach her is cooking, you know. She has chores in the house. There are certain things you have to learn to do as a woman for your own benefit, and eventually you're going to be married, you know. So, you know, prepare yourself for this, you know. And then they get to learn, you know, the values that they have and what they're good at, you know. My daughter, although she don't care to cook, she can cook, you know. She's a great cleaner, you know, and so you give them chores in the house at a younger age. So as they get older, you know, they know how it is to take care of their body. You know, when she's like I said, she's working now. Teach them, you know, what to buy, you know, their personals, how to spend their money correctly. Because at one point when my daughter was working, although she took care of her personal needs, it was about getting her hair done, getting them nails done, you know, buying all the makeup that she needed, you know. And then I had to, like, you know, what are you doing with your money? You know, you got to monitor, start saving more, because there are things you're going to need, you know. So you have to teach them. A parent can't just tell the daughter, just go out there and work, and not give them any instructions. And so, because they need it, they need to be taught how to save. They need to be taught, you know, the things that they should have when they go on an interview. You know, how to properly dress themselves for an interview, how to properly do a resume, you know. And so these are things that you teach them. You don't wait till they turn 18. You know, you teach them at your daughter's age. Start early. You know, and so these are the practical steps that I take, and it makes them feel good when they make an accomplishment. You know, she went from working from Wendy's to working at Harris Teeter. You know, that's $1 and something more. You know, she's going to be a medical assistant. So these values make them feel good. But at the end of the day, you know, that is the natural side. We also got to continue, you know, to work on that spiritual side of them, make sure that they have the Most High, you know, as their foundation. And, you know, and so to me, that's part of the practical, you know, if that's a word.
Okay. You know, they may not know. Jackie will
I will make a word out in a minute.
You know, so it's all good.
So, you know, just you know, keep that balance in that relationship, and keep the communication line open. That's one thing, you know, I always enjoyed about having, is that communication. Now sometimes it gets a little, you know, missed, because sometimes the child is like, well, you really don't want to hear him, but you want to make sure you keep the lines of communication open with your child
all the time,
you know. But teach them these things that's going to help them through life. Very important.
I agree. I would say, being practical, I agree with everything that you said. Communication is definitely important, so that they can feel comfortable to come to you, to talk to you, and just share what's going on in their life. You know, sometimes they won't, which is another reason why they need friends that you know, they can talk to, and friends that you can trust, you know, that won't misguide them. You know, so if they have a friend and they say, well, this little boy likes me, you know, then the little friend will say, okay, well, you know, you're not supposed to have a boyfriend. So, you know, let's go ahead and just nip that in the bud now. I think also, you know, our society is not, it doesn't represent, you know, a godly society, unfortunately. And one of the things we see a lot are a lot of young girls, even in my case, you know, is in a single home. And so you have women who bring men around, you know, and so that also tears down a young lady's self-esteem, because of course you're giving more attention to a man, or you know, or it could be your career, whatever it is, then you are nurturing, you know, your daughter, not realizing that she needs a hug, you know, or every night, you know, kiss, and you know, just to tell her you love her, and just show her some attention and give her some time. And so if I can say anything, you know, is don't display ungodly values around your daughter. So, you know, you can't be having men in your house and fornicating and stuff. Don't do that. You know, that's just a no-no. And this is if you're single. Obviously, if you're married, it's different. But, you know, I will say that because that is my experience. You know, I know not to do that. But then also you have to protect them whenever you can. And so you just continue to instill things in them that they can use and they can grow from. And you just show them how to be a young lady. You know, like Jackie said, I love that point. I used to have to interview young ladies for a position, you know, where I work. And they would dress inappropriately. Sometimes they wouldn't, you know, be able to answer some of the basic questions that are asked during an interview. You know, whether it's what are your goals 5 years from now? You know, what are the things that you like to do? Or tell me, how would you, you know, if you were in a customer service situation, how would you how would you handle it?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and they can't respond because they don't know. So that's because they're not being taught at home, and we have to teach them how to handle challenges, difficult situations. We have to teach them how to overcome, you know, adversity. And it can come from within the home, or it could be adversity that they have at school or work or wherever, but we have to teach them how to handle that and how to respond to people when people are rude to you, you know, not coming back at them, rude back at them, you know. So I think there are a lot of things that we have to do, but we just have to be conscious. We have to put in the work, and we have to put in the effort. And a lot of times a lot of women are so busy doing them, you know. You can't tell the mama from the daughter these days.
Wow.
There was one practical.
There
was one practical thing I wanted to share real quick, Sharon.
Okay.
When you're speaking about the golly side of it, you know, I tell my daughter to bring her friends to my home. I don't, you know, like her sleeping out at all. I don't do it. Even at 18, yes, people, I don't let my daughter sleep out. But I will let her friends come to my house because there's safety in my house. And so you have to be proactive with their environment and with their friends at that time. That's a ministry, you know. Bring them into your house, bring them into your world, you know, because it's easy to go into their world. So another practical step is to bring them into your world and let them see how you are, you know, as a believer.
Right. I agree. Well, that's it. That's good. You know, we shared some practical points of what has been working for us over the years. You know, I agree with everything both of you said. According with the accountability that these godly girls should have. I know I'm just going to share my daughter. She called your daughter one day, and she did give her some good advice. You know, and my daughter told me, you know, she gave me some good advice, Mom, and she told me blah blah blah. You know, I was like, my heart was glad. You know that it works. You know? So,
it does work.
Yeah.
It does work.
So I love that, and I'm you know I'm glad that, you know, they know each other, they have each other, you know. So I encourage other women, find some good friends for your children, and you find fellowship as well, because the three of us, we go out and we have a good time, and we don't want to leave each other sometimes, but we got to go on home, you know, life goes on. So, but it does make you feel good as a woman to have another woman, from woman to woman, to share with, you know, and we're going to be safe with each other. We're safe. My husband is safe with me, with my friends that I have chosen, you know. So I thank you all for watching, you know, and I hope that, you know, I hope that, you know, we were able to help you.
Yes,
you know,
I
and
hope so too.
Please look for us again. We plan to be doing this often. You know, like our page, subscribe, Overcome Today. There's going to be other videos, you know, we have a whole slew of them coming, you know, so I just encourage you to be encouraged. I believe our information will be on the screen, you know, so just, you know, God bless.
God bless.
God bless. Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.